I'm an electrical engineering student who plays in 2 bands, has a part-time job, and runs a YouTube channel. And while I miraculously had a pretty great first 2 years of college in terms of the old grade point average, junior year has hit me like a truck. You know, I always heard them say that this is the hardest year of the program, and now I believe them. Let's just say that if my grades last year were 100% good, they are only about 80% good now. And I am not good with that. So I'm going to study for 40 hours to prepare for my 4 midterms that are coming up soon to hopefully regain my status as an academic weapon. And hopefully along the way I can uncover the secret to optimal studying and share it with you guys. I'll be studying everywhere from home to the library to the coffee shop, and I'll be using every study tool from homework to textbooks to videos. All in an effort to find the best way to study and save my semester. First things first, I need to prepare. I cleaned my room to get myself into a good headspace for studying, and I also deleted all of the biggest problem apps from my phone. Those of course would be Instagram and YouTube, and for me personally, the biggest one, YouTube Studio. It was weird deleting the Instagram app because it felt so wrong and scary, and that honestly just meant that I really had to do it. Anyway, the second that it was off my phone, I felt such a sense of relief and never looked back, and I was so ready to lock in. Now let me tell you what a week in my life looks like and where I'm going to have to fit all this studying in. For school, I'm taking a respectable 15 credit hours, so that's about 15 hours in class every week. Then I'll have like 5 to 6 assignments due across my classes every week, and then 2 big labs. For music, I have at least 1 rehearsal every week. Usually there will be a show at some point. For YouTube, I usually like to spend 4 hours a day on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then one of the weekend days. Luckily that time can just go to studying now because they're one and the same this week. Then for me right now, work is just on football game days when there's a home game, but that does end up taking an entire Saturday when it does happen. Now, what I already know about myself is that I work a lot better in the mornings. So the plan is to get up early, do my studying in the morning, get it out of the way, and get it done well. Hopefully for every day for the next 2 weeks. You're in for a lot of studying time lapses. But now that we know the schedule we're up against, let's get started. And if walking up to a library on a rainy, cozy morning doesn't get you into the studying mood, I do not know what would. Hello and welcome to my thrilling presentation of what I did today and yesterday and the day before that. A comprehensive review of what I got done over these 2 weeks of intense studying. I'm going to tell you what I studied. I'm going to tell you how I studied. I'm going to tell you about my tests. First day, starting off strong here. 2 hours of studying in the morning. Quiz directly after, which I would have completely failed if not for the studying before. Lab also would have been impossible without the studying in the morning, so I cannot express how perfect of a time it was to start the studying. Lab report. What can you do? Almost 6 hours of studying on the first day. I would call that a very strong start. I've got like an hour before I have to leave for rehearsal, so I'm going to try to write at least 1, maybe 2 lab reports right now. I was practicing guitar a little bit too. We are busy. We are killing it. You will notice that there are 2 different categories here. We've got the assigned homework hours and the free will studying hours. So most of these assigned hours were the lab itself. I'm counting them all as study hours just because it's time outside of class that I'm working on school stuff. If you are one of those people, and I imagine you're out there, that only want to count the free will studying hours as study hours, I will keep track of that as well, and I'll tell you the total at the end. You can see I immediately fell off on the second day, not even a single bit of studying free will. I had another 3 hours of homework this time though. Had an online quiz for my signals and systems class and a linear algebra homework as well, but I'm sure you guys do not care about Fourier transforms, so I will not bore you with the details. We've got 2.5 labs this semester in the electrical engineering program. So for this one, it was just a little project of my own design, super high tech. We can make it about anything we wanted, so I made mine about toilets, and I did it in record time. The actual lab part only took, 20 minutes because I designed it super easy. Also, I did a lot of errands on Tuesday, which is kind of why you see the 0 free will studying hours here. Hump day. I wrote a 1,500 word lab report at the coffee house all in one sitting. Presentation also made it in that same sitting. I recorded a video presenting what I had made in the morning, which you can watch at the link in the description if you're so inclined. Total hours were at 12.38. We had another 3 hours of assigned homework and then just about half an hour of, my own free will studying. As you can see, this is where I started to get a little less descriptive. So linear algebra, I did homework. And then signals and systems, I did start working through all of the homework assignments, which are optional in this class, which is very strange. I went to the stacks today, which is the quiet part of the library. Admittedly, I was only on the 2nd floor, but there were 2 separate people on phone calls and also a ghost hunting team came through. Still a good place to lock in, though not for very long today, as you can see, bringing our total to close to 14 hours let's see what we do tomorrow. Okay, so it looks like it's Halloween. It's Halloween, as you can hopefully tell. I don't usually dress like this. This is all homemade. It's been a crazy day, an hour and a half probably by the time I get this assignment done before the show. I've just been trying to get homework done in between getting this costume done and everything, so all right, bye. Circuits 3, I had homework, finished that in an hour and a half. We're also including Saturday on the slide because I did nothing, so we're up to 15 and a half hours. So I'm finding out a couple things about my ability to study. First of all, just watching a lecture is not my thing. And I guess I kind of knew that, but I was completely locked in this morning when I was writing that lab report for like 3 hours straight. So I think it's clear that I am very much a hands-on learner. Like I was absolutely dozing off just now. But that's kind of a bummer because I thought that those videos were going to be like really helpful for me, and that's a hard class. But there are also homework assignments in this class that are optional. So I'm going to try those out because the problems are what are really helpful to me, and I think there are solutions on there too. And obviously, you know, he wrote the homework, he's writing the tests, so hopefully they're kind of the same thing. I'm also finding out that I need a place to go. Like, I cannot study at home. I need an allocated time. I need an allocated place that is for studying. I need to be in study mode. Today was kind of a flop. I still got like almost 4 hours of studying in, but a lot of that was just assigned work. We're going to get some good studying in tomorrow. Takeaways from this conversation, all right? 1, I can't just sit and watch a video. I got to do some problems. And 2, I can't just decide on a whim to do some studying. I need to sit down, carve out some time, go to a specific place. Gotta be intentional, and we gotta be active. You might be different, but that's for me. Another pretty good day. So I did some studying of Circuits 3. My friend Jack helps me learn how to do MOSFET analysis, which is great. Another lab, and signals and systems, optional homework assignments. I got those all completely done, and I even finished my lab report and turned it in. Fantastic. Then I went to the law library today, which was super empty. Sometimes it's packed, sometimes it's empty. It's a very academic space, a lot of books. I will certainly be back there for studying in the future. This signals and system stuff is annoying me because we go over the topics in class, we do practice problems, it all makes complete sense, and I can do those problems in my sleep. Then the homework, which is optional, gives you a bunch of problems and examples that we have never seen anything like in class and that are pretty much impossible to complete with just the concepts that we know. I have to look up so much background information to be able to understand what the question is asking me, and those are the kind of questions that he expects us to be able to answer on the test. At least make the homework mandatory if that's what you're going to put on the test. And then the textbook too, you also have to read the chapter. He does not assign readings. That stuff is on the test too. So now that I'm going through the homework and reading the textbook, I'm finding so many hard examples that were nothing like we saw in class. Every word that man says, I have it written in my notebook, and there's so much we're not prepared for. In theory, I should do great on the test. In practice, it's gonna be rough. I gotta stop complaining and just freaking get it done. All right, it has officially been 1 week. We are back to a Monday. Back in Signals and Systems. You know I already did all the optional homework assignments. Guess what? I have also done optional practice tests to prepare for this exam, midterm number 2. You would think that I'm pretty prepared in this class. Keep that in mind for later. Another lab. You're probably wondering how there are this many labs, and I'm wondering the same thing. So I sketched out my circuit, built it right on the first try. That's why they call me the one-shot kid in the engineering department. This is actually the first time the one-shot kid was able to do a lab in one shot. So that was nice. And now let's take a look at the coffee house, why don't we? If you're a long-time subscriber, you'll know about my journey to test every coffee shop in the city. And Coffee House was a strong contender for number 1 when I first tried it, and it has since become the place to go for me. They open early, they have the best coffee in town, they have the perfect level of noise for studying, and they are super close to campus. Honestly, compared to everywhere else that I went to study, Coffee House takes the cake. The coffee cake. Anyway, 2 assigned homework hours, 3.27 free will studying hours, and we are up to 24 hours of studying. That is a full day. Okay, Tuesday. We had another homework, put quite simply, from Digital Logic Design. I forgot this is the worst day of my life. I'm alone in the testing room 2 hours before it starts. I'm gonna lock in, I've done all the homeworks now. I just need to do a practice test to see what's actually going to be on the thing. Hopefully a little easier than the homeworks. So, yeah, here we go. I don't want to talk about it. I spent so much time on the homeworks and practice tests, all of which were optional, by the way. I kept up with taking notes in class, I did all of the actual assigned homework assignments, and I even read back through my notes, and I was feeling so confident about going into this test, and none of it mattered. I guess I must have just skipped over the specific problem types that he put on the test, because afterwards he made it seem like anybody that paid attention should have done well, which, by the way, they won't. And honestly, I don't know where to put the blame for this one. Maybe there's only so much catching up you can do in 2 weeks. Or maybe there's just some classes or professors that really just don't want you to do well. Look, I know he's gonna scale everybody by like 15% at the end of the semester, but I feel like if I'm on top of this stuff now, I should be doing better than I am. Anyway, it was kind of a flop, and it made me rethink my life choices a little bit, but there are more tests, more opportunities to get that GPA back to where I liked it. So I'll try not to dwell. Well, except for whatever I have to say in my slideshow. It was the most evil test known to man. I did not recognize pretty much a single problem from any of the optional homeworks or the optional practice tests, and that was quite disappointing, to say the least. I got out of that bad test, right? And then I opened up my phone, and turns out I was also rejected from the engineering internship I applied to over the summer, which is fine. After that, I was like, okay, we're gonna walk it off in the woods. There are 3 other midterms coming up after this, it's not over. I went to my favorite park, Wilderness Park. I saw a little snake on the trail. That was very fun. But then a creep tried to get me. So I survived. I was ready to run at any moment. I was able to de-escalate and get out of there without having to, sprint. Anyway, we made it up to 26.72 hours today. That means we are up to a marathon of studying. So let's see what Wednesday brings. Wednesday did not bring much. I did the tiniest bit of studying for digital logic design. And the reason that it was so tiny of a bit of studying is that I lost all motivation. I was too busy thinking about the terrible day I had had the day before. Even though I did not get much studying done, I did find a good study place. That is Carolyn Pope Edwards Hall. The walls are actually whiteboards themselves, which is pretty cool. Anyway, we were up to 27 hours, almost. Now, that looks pretty good. Big day for digital logic design, a lot of studying. In fact, about 4 hours of it. I took a practice exam. I took extra notes from the slides and added them to my existing notes. And then I went through all the homeworks and the solutions to see exactly how they wanted us to do everything. For this class, you also get a cheat sheet on the midterms. So I made the best cheat sheet you have ever seen. Exam was a little bit better than Signals and Systems. Again, it was a little evil and unfair. I would like to say that 1/5 of the test was dedicated to something that we spent 5 minutes on 3 weeks ago. Epiphanies that I made today. Sometimes in certain classes, there is no such thing as catching up. Sometimes you just got to be locked in the whole time. You got to be going to office hours, taking notes, taking extra notes from the textbook. That's kind of what I realized today, processing my failure from Signals and Systems. I got my digital logic design test back today, and much to my surprise, it was a 90%. Now, you have to take into account that the class average was a 68% with a median of 71 and then upper quartile 78. Last test, the class average was higher than that, but I did like 15% worse. So this is a big win for me. And look, he even wrote good at the top, and he has never written anything nice on my test. So that's pretty amazing. That is a good step forward. And yeah, I am pretty good. So this has me feeling a lot better, and also my other 2 tests, linear algebra and circuits 3, felt pretty good, so I'm excited to get those grades back. I'll update you somewhere in the description or comments when I find out. But this shows that it worked. Locking in works. I was able to learn how I study best, which we'll talk about later. But anyway, for now, back to me. We're up to 31 total hours today. That is quite a few hours. We've got another combo Friday, Saturday. Saturdays are not good days for me to study. Circuits 3, I did some practice problems from the class notes and looked through the homework solutions again. He is the nicest professor in the world. He tells you exactly what's going to be on the test. He gives you the best practice problems to be able to do it. And also, the test is completely open note. You just get to have your computer open with all of the slides from class and your entire notebook. I'm pretty sure I aced that one, at least, so I had one win this week. As for Saturday, I was a bit of a bum. I got absolutely nothing done. I got distracted by this pretty awesome Minecraft horror movie. I'll link that in the description as well. I also got distracted by music. At least that means that I now have an epic soundtrack for this next studying time lapse. Okay, 32.4 hours. We're getting there. Sunday fun day. Easy peasy lab report. This one was pretty short. Then for linear algebra, I started on the practice midterm. It was just like 2 hours on the day, but I've got a test tomorrow and I am way more confident about linear algebra than digital logic or signals and systems. There's only so much you can do with math. You can't be that evil on the tests. We are on our third Monday, meaning this has been 2 full weeks now. So linear algebra, I did the practice midterm again. I did the full thing, and then I started over, made sure I could do every single kind of problem on the midterm. And so that was my 2 hours and 20-ish minutes for free will studying. The test, of course, perfectly fair. I feel like it went really well. And yeah, there was an evil lab, so that's where all these assigned homework hours came from. New studying record, actually, on the day because the lab took so long. This is where we hit 40 hours. Boom. In terms of free will studying hours, that was 20 hours, which is also pretty freaking good, if I do say so myself. Now let's see what I learned. This is what you all have been waiting for, the results of my experiment here. So it worked. In digital logic design especially, my exam performance went through the roof. It was fantastic. Paying attention in class was easier because I actually knew what was going on. Playing catch up. So as much as I want to blame my professor, there was a blurb in the Signals and Systems syllabus that said you are expected to read the chapter of the book before class, as well as do the assigned homework, which is optional. Perhaps reading the book and also doing the homeworks as the class was going on would have helped me. Retention. So when you're cramming a bunch of studying into a short amount of time, like 40 hours over 2 weeks, you're going to know a lot right at the end of those 2 weeks. But even now, everything is already a little bit hazy. I don't think I could do this test if I needed to do it right now, as well as I did back when I took it, which was like 4 days ago. Suggestions. You should just be locked in the whole semester, TBH. Read the textbook as you go. Spread the work out over the whole semester so you don't have to worry about losing retention or trying to play catch up on a class that you can't really play catch up in. You got to find the study spot and the study method that work for you. I think that's all I got to say here. I will see you back in the usual spot. Stemming from what I said in my little presentation, I have developed 2 pillars of optimal studying: consistency and personality. Consistency means showing up every day for class, taking good notes on what the professor says, then going home and taking another set of notes, this time from the book, and doing that every single class, every single topic. It is a lot, but it means that you are going to understand the material so well that you're annoyed by it. Don't let a unit go by without understanding it first. While I was looking back through my notes, every time I read something that I didn't really understand, I looked it up, made a more complete definition that actually made sense to me, and that gets us to personality. Personality means that however you study best is going to be unique to you. Personally, I cannot just watch a video or listen to someone speak. I have to be involved in the process, either asking questions or doing practice problems along the way. That's why I really like going through homework assignments that also have like a completed solution sheet. It's a way for me to learn through practice while also being given an explanation. But not everyone's going to like that method. That method isn't even applicable to a lot of majors because there are no equations involved in a lot of fields of study. But being consistent is a way of defending against burnout or loss of motivation. Make studying a habit so that you don't have to rely on yourself locking in for just the 2 weeks leading up to the test. And focusing on personalizing your study method is way better than just listening to whatever people say works the best for them. Find what works for you and stick to it. For me, that'll be doing practice problems in the coffee house at the crack of dawn, and that is awesome. But I guarantee you that probably sounds like a lot of people's worst nightmare. Anyway, sometimes you're going to have a hard class and a hard professor, but if you show up and do the work, heck, even go to office hours, which is a resource I really need to start using, you're going to be fine, even if it takes a long time. 40 hours, perhaps. Alright, well, I'm gonna go hibernate because I just worked so hard that I now need to sleep for a week straight. But if you enjoyed watching me study for a bunch of hours, you'll definitely enjoy my video where I read for 24 hours with the busiest schedule you've ever seen. Alright, like and comment and subscribe and all the good stuff. Okay, bye!